ready for this epic report? For 11 years, 11 straight years, the Liberals have looked at Canadians straight in the eyes and sold one big fat illusion. We're making life more affordable for Canadians. Don't worry, inflation is only transitory. Just trust us, bro. And for the last decade, CBC, CTV parroted over and over again the Liberal talking points, and at the same time, your grocery prices doubled, tripled. They just continue to go up. Your rents exploded, and your paycheck bought less and less every year. Many people are flipping over their couches for a little bit of pocket change. And today, the illusion came crashing down in just a 24-hour period. CBC and CTV just announced that Canada has entered a technical recession. Oh yeah, they said technical. We're gonna get into what technical is in this report. But what they're telling us is that we have suffered 2 straight quarters, so half a year, of negative GDP growth. Our economy in Canada is stalling out. But that's actually not the real story here. The real story is the one that mainstream media is not talking about. And while families tighten their belts and wondering if they're going to be able to afford rent or even a meal tomorrow, the Liberals are quietly doing secret deals behind closed doors. The same Mark Carney that last year told Canadians for a straight year that our relationship with the United States is officially over. We're gonna join up with those middle powers, and then we're gonna gang up on the major powers. Remember that speech, the Davos speech? We have a massive rupture. That's what he called it. He stood on stage and told Americans to their face, we will no longer send you 70 cents to every dollar for your military equipment. But now the mask has slipped off the face. The illusion is completely shattered. The bill is due after a decade of denial. Stick with me because what unfolded today is bigger than a recession. This is the moment that the entire Liberal fantasy finally met reality. And if you're sick and tired of being lied to, smash that subscribe button, hit the notification and the like. Hype it if you have any hypes. Let's get into this report. The cover-up. Mainstream media is trying to cover for Mark Carney's failure as Prime Minister. They're trying to convince you that this is only a technical recession. We're gonna wake up tomorrow with record GDP growth. We just have to wait till the fall, and we will all be swimming in cash. You don't believe me? Let's take a look. Here we have mainstream media working overtime protecting Mark Carney's failing economy. They want you to believe that this is harmless, just a technical nothing burger. Just listen to this. This expert says the economy shrank 2 quarters in a row, but then immediately downplays it as just $1 little billion. Just a tiny, tiny little bloop. Very, very small. They say, just move on.
The estimate for how much the economy shrank from the fourth quarter of 2025 to the first quarter of 2026 was only $1 billion. That represents about 0.03% of Canada's total $3.2 trillion economy. So it was a very, very, very small reduction in spending.
I'm sure it's fine. But meanwhile, the real story is business investment has been falling for 5 straight quarters in a row. Exports to the United States have collapsed by $35 billion and a drop of another 15% this year.
A lot of this is a result of the trade war with the United States. For the last 5 quarters in a row, business investment has been falling. We've seen a significant drop. Last year, our exports to the United States declined by about 35 billion. Exports down almost 15%.
So you're telling me the guy that campaigned as the expert negotiator, the only guy that can negotiate a win with Donald Trump, has done nothing in the last 12 months, and now we are suffering from this recession. But I guess there's some good news, isn't there? Canadians are still spending money. Well, of course they are. They got to be able to survive. You got to eat. You still got to pay for shelter. So yeah, we're still spending money. But even that is not enough to save the numbers. Businesses and exports are dragging everything down.
Even though Canadian families have been spending a bit more, even though we've had some more government spending, it's not been enough to offset the decline in exports and the decline in business investment.
Mark Carney has created a frozen economy because businesses do not want to invest in Canada until the renegotiation of the USMCA.
Businesses are holding off on investment because they want to see the outcome of the Canada-US-Mexico agreement renegotiations. We're only a few months away from finding out what that's going to look like. They're not going to make new investments, and business conditions are just not very good in Canada right now.
That's odd, because just a month ago, this clown told us that we are about to see a record GDP growth, and we're currently seeing the absolute record amount of foreign direct investment in Canada. Numbers we have never seen in Canadian history. What happened in just 30 days?
Well, this Prime Minister has been wrong about every single economic issue, learn from his mistakes, and reverse this deficit.
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Speaker, we will take no lessons from this conservative. Let me be very clear, Mr. Speaker. Whilst the leader of the opposition is talking down the Canadian economy, Mr. Speaker, the International Monetary Fund said something just last week. Canada will have the second fastest growth in the G7. Canada has the strongest fiscal position in the G7. Canada's attracted a record of direct investment in this country, Mr. Speaker. This is being a liberal in the 21st century. Building a strong Canada, attracting investment, sound fiscal policy, Mr. Speaker. We're proud to be liberal.
Don't you love the internet, where we could just go back 30 days and find out that everything this snake oil salesman has been delivering, record investment, record GDP growth, record. We'll take no lessons from those conservatives. We're building Canada strong. Today, wah. The economy is going off a cliff under these liberals. And yes, we're not celebrating the decline in Canada's economy, but we've been pointing out to the liberals that we're going in the wrong direction for 10 straight years. And now reality has smashed these liberals in the face. Now we have this economist, Colin. And yeah, I think the problem is we have too many economists and not enough realists. Who's ready for the media spin? We're not concerned at all. We'll just go through a turbulent summer. But by the fall, I'll tell you what's going to happen in the fall. We're going to get these magic beans, and we're going to put the magic beans inside the soil, and we're going to start seeing unicorn after unicorn, and you are going to be able to get onto that unicorn. And once you get on that unicorn, you're going to fly straight to the moon, because there'll be so much cash that the unicorn will be walking up the stairs of cash straight to heaven.
And depressing that investment, depressing GDP growth is going to start to fade over the next few months. So we just need to get through the summer. It's going to be a turbulent summer, I think. But by the time we get to the fall, everything should be going in our favor. Once that renegotiation is finished, once the business uncertainty disappears, we'll start to see more investment here in Canada, and we'll start to see the economy grow again. If you think back to previous recessions, I mean, the last time we had one of these very shallow technical recessions was in 2015, and unemployment was also about 6.9% back then, and that was over in about 6 months, and most people didn't even realize we had a recession back in 2015. This right now feels very much like that recession. I think it'll be over fairly quickly.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be over before we even wake up in the morning tomorrow. We won't even feel it. We are going to be living in a fantasy of cash like we've never seen before, where people are throwing $100 bills at you like you are a stripper. Mainstream media is working overtime to defend Mark Carney, and it's because Mark Carney and the Liberals have been gaslighting us Canadians over and over again. Here, Ryan Garrickson here on X has done a fantastic job compiling a little bit of clips of all that gaslighting. The receipts are in, though. How far does the economy need to slide off a cliff for Canadians to wake up?
Yes, Canada needs change, but not just any change. We need change that works for people, and we've never needed it more. So if you remember one thing from what I say today, remember this. I am going to be completely focused on getting our economy back on track.
Mr. Speaker, unlike the member opposite, I know the difference between main estimates and budget. Unlike the member opposite, I know how to grow. Unlike the member opposite, I know how to grow. This fiscal situation strong because this government has a plan to grow this economy, and we will keep doing it.
Respect him a lot, but I don't think he's been seeing the evolution of the Canadian economy, Madam Chair. Madam Speaker, I have some good news for the member. The Canadian economy is growing, Madam Speaker. I think he should be thanking the plan of this government, Madam Speaker, to make sure that we can grow the economy. We invest in the future, and on the budget in November 4th. I know the Conservatives are waiting for November 4th. Speaker, the Canadian economy has the second fastest growth in the G7, growing almost twice as the one in Germany, almost twice as much as Japan, almost 3 times as our colleagues in Italy, Mr. Speaker. Canadian economy is strong, Mr. Speaker. We're going to build Canada strong together. We're going to have our Canada Strong Fund. Canadians will benefit. It is shameful to see the Conservative talking down the Canadian economy. Canadians are proud people, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, again, Madam Speaker, the Conservatives need a reality check. Well over 100,000 jobs since the new Prime Minister was elected last year. Madam Speaker, we are focused on building a Canada-strong economy, one that will improve the conditions in all regions of the country.
Mr. Speaker, I know it's Tuesday. There's so much good news, I don't know where to start, Mr. Speaker. Just look at their face. Mr. Speaker, they should be smiling. The International Monetary Fund just announced that Canada is forecasted to have the second fastest growth in the G7. In the G7. In addition,
The IMF has just released its forecast for the global economy. Canada is rated by the IMF as the second fastest growing economy in the G7. You will have seen in the last 2 months of GDP data a return to growth of the economy after a short period. So return to growth there, forecast to be the second strongest in the G7.
Let's get our numbers straight. The Canadian economy is the strongest growing economy in the G7, 2.6% annualized. Canadian wages are growing faster than inflation for every month that this government has been in. Affordability is the best it's been in over a decade.
Good morning and welcome to CTV News Channel this Friday morning. I'm Akshay Tandon. We make a start with some breaking news. The Canadian economy has slipped into a technical recession according to new data from Statistics Canada.
The lefties in Canada have been attacking Pierre Poilievre nonstop. Last month, They went as far as saying is attacking Mark Carney's economic background and credentials as an economic genius and a math magician was not a good strategy for Pierre Poilievre. He needs to stop immediately. This was before reality set in today.
I don't understand this strategy. I mean, to Christy's point, I don't know if it's beating a dead horse, but it's shining a light on Carney's strengths, you know? I think Pierre Poilievre going after the education of Mark Carney, who graduated from Oxford and from Harvard in economics and has had, you know, has a resume in economics as long as your arm, I think just highlights the lack of expertise that Pierre Poilievre has. So I don't understand the strategy. I don't understand why Pierre Poilievre wouldn't be acknowledging the education that Mark Carney has and then saying, but he doesn't have the practical expertise or whatever. Like, I think there's got to be another way into this conversation for Pierre Poilievre, because I think this sounds ridiculous and I don't think people are going to buy it. You know, I think that's the reality. I think that it sounds kind of cartoonish and it sounds totally political. It doesn't sound grounded in any kind of reality. So I think that, yeah, the shine has to, for Poilievre and the Conservatives to do better, the shine has to come off Mark Carney, but shining a light on how educated he is in economics is not the way to do that.
These lefties in Canada are having a very difficult day today, because if Mark Carney has an economic background as long as your arm, so you shouldn't attack his Harvard education and all of that practical experience. Canada's economy, there's no other country in the G20, actually in the developed world, that is currently in a recession right now. So we have an economic genius driving our economy off a cliff. How bad does that look? If he had zero economic background, he could say that I have no economic background. That's why we're screwing up so bad. If your entire life has been running an economy and as a central banker, and you still have the worst performing economy in the developed world, how bad does that look? These lefties really want to see Pierre Poilievre resign. Sherry DeNovo says, how bad does polling need to get for Pierre Poilievre for him to resign? So this is what I wrote in response. How bad does the Canadian economy need to get for Mark Carney to resign? I decided to do some homework. Out of every single country on the planet, there's only 6 countries with a technical recession right now. Canada, Myanmar, Haiti, Venezuela, Yemen, and Equatorial of Guinea. These countries are like war-torn, third world. Us, Canada, the entire world is currently growing right now. Canada is not. But don't worry, Canada. Melanie Jolie, that just got out of bed, look at her hair, tells us that the whole world wants to do business with Canada. All we have to do is a handshake and the deal is gonna get done. We even have the guy from Ghostbusters here to support Melanie Jolie.
And I think what investors are looking around the world, and what I've been hearing based on my conversations with many of them, is that we're a stable country. We're able to respect our word, and when we look investors in the eyes and we shake hands, well, we'll follow the deal.
Canada is officially saved. Thank you so much, Melanie Jolie. I can't wait for you to shake Donald Trump's hand and get the deal done. You might believe this, but here we have CTV News. I looked through the entire thing. Not once did they show that Canada is in a technical recession. They're not even showcasing it on the website. They're trying to bury this news. We're not in a technical recession. They're going to report on the recession later on in the fall when we get this economic boom that they're predicting. RMC86 did a great job putting this one together. The mainstream media is paid to distract you.
There it is again. What is that? There it is again. What is that?
While we're all distracted by mainstream media, Mark Carney met the ambassador to China. He allowed the media to come in. You're not going to believe this. For 10 seconds. Then he told them you need to leave immediately so that he can negotiate all those wonderful deals in secrecy.
Yes, we'll just wait till they all. Very good.
Okay, thank you, media.
Very
Thank
good.
you. Thank you, media.
So,
okay, everybody. Thank you.
Oh, it continues. I wanted to show you how fast they ushered these people out of this meeting.
Okay, everybody. Thank you.
Everybody out. Everybody out.
Thank you.
Look how fast they're running out of there. This is what you call the most transparent prime minister in Canadian history. He's 10 times worse than Justin Trudeau. I don't know about you, but this is extremely concerning, Canada, because we have no idea what Mark Carney signed earlier this year, the MOU. Now he's doing secret meetings behind closed doors. We have no idea what he's doing with communist China.
Beijing, Canada's greatest security threat. That was during the election. Despite this, within a year, he signed a memorandum of understanding with Communist China as it relates to security matters. I have been asking for that memorandum of understanding for over 5 months. The minister, the prime minister, have refused to disclose it. When will they produce the memorandum of understanding that was signed with Communist China?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, let's be clear. Canada has had an MOU with China on combating crime in various forms since 2010. These have never been made public. As with the potential release of any sensitive national security document, we're carefully following the advice of our intelligence and law enforcement agencies. We will continue to work collaboratively with international and law enforcement partners to combat transnational criminal networks to keep Canadians safe. And Canada will always be guided by 3 principles, Mr. Speaker, including the rule of law, protection of Canadians, and the defense of Canada.
The Honourable Member for Kamloops Thompson-Nicolau.
Mr. Speaker, if the minister wants to talk about history, let's talk about history. When did the Prime Minister in the past call Beijing Canada's greatest security threat and then just within a year sign a memorandum of understanding? Never before had we heard stories of foreign interference to the same degree. Never before had a Prime Minister said exactly what he said. So why is he unprepared to shine the light, Mr. Speaker? These Liberals don't want to shine the light. They don't want to inform Canadians. Inform Canadians, will they do it today? Yes or no?
Well done.
We will have zero idea from this Liberal government what they signed in the springtime, but there is one thing we did find out. We're going to strengthen ties with China.
Canada, in conclusion, is committed to deepening engagement with China in key areas. Of course, there is more work ahead. We have momentum to continue this work together. I look forward to our conversation today.
That is all we know. And we're not going to find out what exactly they're doing. We're going to move back to the economy to finish off this report. Melanie Paradis is bang on here. After I show you this clip, you're not going to want to miss my analysis of what's coming next.
Yeah, and Melanie, I mean, to Louis' point, obviously, you knew that Pierre Poilievre was going to hang the R word or put that scarlet letter right on Mark Carney's forehead. But when you consider that the Prime Minister was someone who, campaigned as someone who would be the best to guide the economy through turbulent times, I mean, what are the political implications for him here?
Well, for months, all of this has been blamed on tariffs. And the reality is that we're the only country in the G7. All the countries in the G7 are facing tariffs right now. In many respects, some of them are facing worse tariffs than we are right now, worse headwinds, as the minister said. And yet we're the only one that's in a recession. The numbers, though, that I think mean more to me than whether we're in a technical recession or a recession is that household savings fell to the lowest level that it's been in the past 2 years. And that's because the cost of everything has gone up. The cost of gas, the cost of food, the cost of rent. Like, people are really struggling. And when household savings fall, especially leading into the summer, that puts in jeopardy what we call the summer bump. So in the summer months, there's usually every year we see a bump in the economy. And that's because Canadians are out, they're at patios, they're traveling, they're spending money. We also have, a boom in the construction industry in the summer. There's lots of activity that naturally happens in the summer. But if people are not able to, if they don't have their savings right now, that summer bump is in jeopardy. And so we may see this recession drag on further if there aren't the right incentives and programs put in place now. And then Canadians will see things like, not only will they not be able to afford a vacation this summer, but will your teenager get a summer job this summer? Will you be able to afford to send your kid to camp? Those are the real impacts that everyday Canadians are worried about.
And what Canadians don't remember probably is after Labor Day, all of those gas taxes are coming back online. Perfect timing for this wonderful economy. If you made it this far in the video, you are in luck. I'm going to provide you with my analysis. First, they call this a technical recession. Technically, they are wrong. This is not a recession. This is a full-blown depression. We have been in a recession for over a decade in Canada. Our GDP per capita is at the same level as it was in 2014 before the Liberals took power. Just so people know what GDP per capita is, that means the amount of money that you make has not grown at all. The economy has grown because they have flooded the country with immigration, resulting in GDP growth. But the amount of money per person has remained the same for over a decade. This is what you call a depression. Mark Carney showed up as Prime Minister, promising us the strongest economy in the G7. We are the only country in the G20, actually in the developed world, that is currently suffering a recession. Mark Carney showed up, and you know this little blip upwards? People wanted to get ahead of the tariffs, so there was quite a bit of back and forth over the border, pumping it up. But since then, our economy has nosedived. We've had 5 consecutive quarters, so almost 2 years of negative business investment. But if you actually take a look since 2015, look how far the gap is between the US and Canada. The renegotiation of CUSMA. This thing's expiring on Canada. Mexico and the United States have been doing some robust negotiations. Mexico did not retaliate against the United States, and they're most likely going to be able to finalize something in time for this thing to expire. Canada went 6 months with absolutely nothing because of our elbows up and Mark Carney's Davos speech. Do you actually believe that we're going to get the absolute best deal out of the United States? Mainstream media thinks that our expert negotiator, genius economist, is going to be able to deliver a deal for us on July 1st. The labor market has officially cracked. Canada loses the most jobs in 17 years outside of the pandemic era lockdowns. 2 consecutive months, we lost 114,000 jobs in only 2 months. Less employment means less spending. And what's propping up our economy for the last several years is consumer spending. And with less jobs, there'll be less spending. Investment in housing construction has declined across Canada, and starts are also down. The residential real estate market in Canada is in a Siberian winter right now. The resale market is well below the 10-year average. We're seeing the largest amount of mortgage renewals in over a decade. 60% of outstanding mortgages are up for renewal by the end of 2026. And with more money going towards servicing your debt, do you actually think there'll be people going to restaurants, or spending money into the economy, or buying luxury items, we're going to see a slowdown from all of these renewals. Energy prices have exploded and it's causing inflation around the globe. And Canada's not immune to all this inflation. And the CEO of Chevron came out yesterday and gave a stark warning on oil prices. Canada's inflation rate is now 2.8%, well above the 2% target, and it's going to continue to go up unless oil prices come down, and they're not. Plus, that gas tax is coming back on Labor Day. That means the Bank of Canada can't cut rates to save the economy. They can't increase rates or our economy is going to explode to the downside, but they might have to increase rates because inflation is starting to tick up. This is something to pay attention to. That's it for today's report. I'm going to be covering lots of updates on the economy and what's going to happen next. I hope Canadians are waking up before it's too late. Our economy is moving south. If we don't get a renegotiation of the USMCA in July, do you think business investment is going to flood back into Canada? All signs are turning to rough seas ahead. Love to hear from you in the comment section. I'll see you on the next report.